Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Newcrest build series. We are building our first public lot in the Newcrest world and it is a farmer's market. I love how it turned out. I think it's so cute and I can't wait to see all of your Sims visiting the farmer's market and spending a nice, fun family day out. Alright guys, so we are at Fern Park, which is the lot that's right behind our suburban starter, which was our first home in the series. I thought this was a good lot to do a public lot on just because the rest of the houses in the neighborhood are residential lots. There are no public lots in this little neighborhood, so I thought this was a good lot to put here. I didn't really go off too much of a reference photo. The only thing that really I took for inspiration was farmers markets that have like the stalls inside of them. They obviously could be different just depending on where you live or what kind of market it is, but I thought it was a cool idea to incorporate like the glass ceiling a little bit just to let in a bunch of light. I just pictured like light, airy space with lots of different vendors with lots of different things in each stall, so there's a variety of like shops. The roofing did take some testing, but I really like it. I think there is just enough glass for light to come through, but it still kind of holds that like barn type of building. And then I did put these windows all along the sides of the barn just to give some more light coming in. And I also really like the wood beams that I put in as well. Again, just trying to keep it like a bit rustic. Nothing like super rustic, but just enough to where like you can tell that this used to be a barn and it was like refurbished to be a like multi-stall establishment. I did start with 3 stalls on each side, but as I was building, I was like 3 just seems like too many different types of things and not a lot of space, so I ended up taking that away and changing it to 2 stalls on each side, so 4 total, just so that there was more room per stall and less variety, just to make it a little bit less hectic. I did use the signs from the businesses and hobbies pack. I used them kind of in the middle there to show what type of business was at each stall. I really like that. I think it makes it look a lot more like businessy and just really cute and adds a bit of character as well. I didn't initially know what type of businesses I wanted to do, so I kind of just threw a few different types up on the signs. I do end up changing them when I decide on which little businesses I wanted to put in there. Now, obviously, your sim will not be able to run each business as like an individual thing. Like your one sim will have to run all 4 of them rather than 4 different sims. Like that's not how the pack will be. But I do still think it's still functional and your sim can like have different skills and different hobbies that they can kind of sell stuff and show things off. So I really like that. I like that there's some variety there that your sim can do. I ended up adding some bathrooms because if you guys have watched my playthrough, we learned very quickly that we need public bathrooms on our lot. So I made sure to incorporate some of those. I was gonna put it off to the side, but then I decided that it would probably be better to just be attached to the barn. So I just put them in the back and kind of connected it to the multi-stalls as well. I try to keep the bathrooms pretty simple. I feel like at like a farmer's market or like a place that's really outdoorsy and they have like these public bathrooms, they're not always like the cleanest or like the most well kept, so I just kept them pretty simple. You'll see me come back to them. I was pretty chaotic in this build, not gonna lie. I was really excited about it, so I kept like going back and forth, so we'll go back and finish the bathrooms in a bit. You'll see me pulling out a ton of different stuff. I wasn't really sure what kind of like decorations I wanted or like signs or anything like that, and of course I had to go into the dreaded debug menu to find all of the things I wanted. I use a ton of stuff from cottage living, obviously, because it's very like farmy. So I'm putting up a fence here for like a little garden, and I do use a lot of the debug menu items from that pack. And it does look a little bit crazy for a little while, so just stay with me. I promise that it works out in the end. If you know about the debug menu, you know that if you go into it once, you got to take out everything that you want and as many as you want, because the debug menu does not let you place more than 1 item at the same time or like back to back. So if you want 5 of one item, you have to go ahead and pull them out. You can't use the eyedropper tool to like make another copy of an item from the debug menu. You would have to go back in the debug menu and like scroll and find it. So I tried to just take out everything that I wanted and just come back to it as I needed it, so I didn't have to do that. So you'll see me work on this little front area for a while, and I always like to use when I have extended time while I'm working on something just to chat with you guys a bit. How are ya? I feel like it's been a minute, even though I've been posting. Like, it's been a minute since I've recorded something. We've been doing a lot of the playthrough too, which has been really fun, but I kind of decided to do a little bit of both, just so that if you enjoy watching builds more than you enjoy watching playthroughs, you kind of have an option for both from me. I've really enjoyed the playthroughs. It's been really fun getting back into playing Sims, like actually playing the game, and I've been having a lot of fun with the new businesses and hobbies pack. There's a lot that you can do, so I'm excited to try some different things. So if you haven't checked out my playthrough, definitely go check it out. I am a pretty tame player, but I feel like there are a lot of surprises that happen just because I haven't played in so long, and the new pack does have a lot of new like features and things, so it's a lot of fun. But life has been pretty crazy. I am getting married in 5 months at the time of this recording, so it is just a lot of planning and figuring things out, lots of phone calls and emails, and kind of figuring out what we want to do. I am having my bachelorette party in 2 weeks from now, I believe, so it'll be a lot of fun. I'm super excited to have a little mini vacation with my girls and just go have a good time. I know that this year is going to fly by, so I'm trying to enjoy every moment and really soak it all in, because soon I will not be a fiance, I will be a wife, which is absolutely insane to say. But that does give me a little opportunity to kind of plug my own socials in here. So I am on TikTok and I'm on Instagram. So if you guys want to see more like personal things or just like quirky little videos, I still post like a bunch of sim stuff. So definitely go follow me on those platforms if you're interested. I plan on having a little bit more like me involved, like just like kind of casual talking videos and different life updates and just things like that. So it'll be a little bit more like casual and like fun. So definitely go check those out if you want. My Instagram is CozyKatPlays, like my YouTube, and then my TikTok is CozyKat_plays. But if you type in CozyKatPlays, it should come up as well. So it's been really fun connecting with you guys so far, so hopefully I will see you guys over on those platforms as well. But as much as I love to give you guys updates, I want to hear updates from you guys too. So if you'd like, let me know how you're doing down below. What are you up to? It is getting warmer in my area, and there has been a lot of rain, but I love when it gets warmer because I can start doing things outside. Me and my fiance really love to garden, and he loves to mow the lawn and things like that, and start taking trips and things. So let me know what you guys have planned for the summer. Are you taking any trips? Are you doing anything fun? I feel like it is very hot in the summer these days, so I am trying to get outside more, but it is a little too hot for my liking. In my area, it's like upwards of like 90 degrees in the dead of summer. So I did buy a little like kiddie pool last year, and I didn't get to use it that much, so I fully intend on taking that out a bit more this year and trying to relax in my little kiddie pool. I have no shame. I think it's fun, and I don't like public pools because there's just too many people and a lot of kids, and it's honestly kind of gross. So just having my little kiddie pool in my backyard where I can just like sit in it, have a drink, listen to music, read a book. That's a lie, I don't read. But you get the idea. I want to read. I want to. I just, maybe you guys can suggest some books to me, because I swear every time I sit down to read a book, I get so sleepy. And I think that might just be because I am tired. Not more because it's like not a good book, but I don't know. Maybe if I find the right one, I won't be as tired. So just let me know what you guys are up to, what you have planned. Are you reading any good books? If you are, what are they? All the things. But back to the build, as you can see, I have cleared away most of the debug menu items. It looks a lot less hectic now. I put all of the like signs that I thought I wanted to use on the inside, and then I pretty much placed everything else or deleted it. And now I'm just putting some terrain paint around just to make it look a little bit better. But I really love how this little front area turned out. I'm obviously not quite done with it yet, but I love a little gardening area, so like the Sims can come and they can garden, like a little community garden almost. And then obviously the truck is not functional, but I did just put a bunch of stuff in the like bed of the truck, so it looks like they use it for like hauling things. I thought that was really cute. I really love how it turned out. I know I keep saying that, but it really does remind me of just some different markets that we have here where I live. We have some pretty big ones, so I'm curious what kind of markets you guys have where you live. So definitely comment down below and let me know. Is this something similar to what you guys have? Do you have something completely different, bigger, smaller? We have some pretty big ones here where I live, but they do have sort of like the multi-stall like aspect to them. Not all of them do, but the pretty big ones do, which I think are really cool because you can really spend all day there and walk around and see all the different vendors and all the different things that they were selling. At one point I actually went with my mom. She was selling some things. She just like rented a stall and I helped her set up and got to spend some time walking around and looking at the different vendors as well. So this was kind of that inspiration. I would say that this one's a little bit more on the small side, and definitely the one that I'm thinking of in real life does not have the little glass ceiling, but I thought that was a cool addition to put in and made this market really unique, so I really like that. If you guys have markets in your area, let me know how they are. Are they big? Are they small? What kind of things do they sell? Is it just produce? Is it like goods? I'm very interested because I feel like it probably just depends where you live. I know a lot of markets have like fish and different produce and candles and things like that, so just a huge variety, which I think is really cool. Now I'm just adding a few touches to the outside of the building. I wanted to add some things so that the bare walls didn't look so bare. So we have some vines going. I believe those are from the cottage living pack as well. I am like a sucker for these. I feel like I put them on a lot of my builds, but I feel like they just add a lot of character. And I also added some of these like little stains. I want to say that those come with for rent. And I think it just kind of adds to the idea that this is kind of like an older building. It's been here a long time. It's well kept, but just old. So there are these like stains and just markings where you can tell that it is an older building. I love the outside of the build. I think it's so cute and it looks very inviting from the street. You can see all of the different activities and it just makes you want to stop and take a gander and see what they have or participate in the community garden. Now I did decide to make this just a small business lot. There is no residential area on this lot obviously, so you would kind of have to work that out with your sim. I don't know, I honestly haven't played a small business venue lot before, but I would imagine you would put all of the goods in your sim's inventory, and then when you come to the lot you can put them all on the display shelves for the sims to buy from. But I didn't really think it made too much sense to make this a business residential lot since it is kind of like an open barn area. So if you guys download the build and use it as a small business lot, please let me know how it goes. I'm so interested to hear. I think it would be a very cool location for your sims to come and visit. It seems like a very like family friendly activity to do for a day. You can see I'm adding a little picnic area here with a grill and some tables so your sims can also grab a bite to eat while they're shopping around and gardening. So your sims can really spend a whole day here and really just enjoy the lot, and I think that's pretty cool. But we are moving on to the most exciting part of this build, which are the 4 stalls on the inside of the barn. I'm adding the essential small business things like the little ticket kiosk. We already have our open sign on the front door, and ultimately I decided to do a little actual market in one of the stalls, a coffee shop, a like plant slash flower shop, and then a pottery shop. Now obviously you can change all these up if you didn't like one of those, or you rather have it just be like a little art studio, or if you'd rather it be an art studio, or you wanted to do like a little candy shop. You could obviously change up these stalls and do whatever that your sim is interested in or wants to sell. I just liked these four, but obviously you can make it your own if you decide to download the build. And now with the market, I believe you can actually sell produce that you grow. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't tested it, to be honest, but I do think that you can grow produce and put them on the display shelves, and I believe your Sims can buy them. I think you can only sell things that your Sim crafts, so you can't like take something out of the like buy and build menu and put it on the display shelf and your like Sims will come and buy it. I think it has to be something that's crafted. So I believe like the plants and produce that you garden outside count as something that you can sell. Again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right. But I just decided to fill the little market with a bunch of debug menu items, so you can see all of the like sacks of flour and different sacks there in the back, and like I believe there's like a crate of like turnips or something. I just try to make it look kind of like filled and used, and like they've been moving produce back and forth. And then I did just include a lot of different things on the walls. Again, I don't believe your Sims can buy any of that stuff, but I just wanted it to look really full, and I don't know, it just reminded me of like the farmer's market when you go in and there's just like a ton of stuff everywhere all over the walls and on the shelves and things like that. So there are a bunch of like random knickknacks, but I think it just looks really full, which I really like. I did include a little like, I think it's a sugar cane tray there on the like desk. I thought it would be nice if like you could serve your Sims like a drink while they shop around. I thought that was kind of cool, like a free sample sort of thing. And now the cash register is from Get to Work, and I don't think it is functional with this new pack like at the same time sort of thing, but I just did that more for looks. I just think it looks functional that way, like to have a cash register there. So that was just like a personal preference, but I just put different things I thought maybe you would buy at a little farmer's market, the wreaths and just different little knickknacks and things. But I love this little stall. I think it just fits right in with the theme, and I did use a lot of like dark woods and obviously this dark brick to go along with the dark beams. Again, just kind of falling into that like barn look. I think it flows really well and just looks rustic and old, like they refurbished this old barn to be a farmer's market and sell stuff out of and make it a business. I did try to make each of the stalls pretty different. So this is the more like rustic one. I can picture like an old couple running this one. They own the barn and they run the farmer's market stall inside, and they sell all the produce that they grow on their land, and they rent out the other 3 stalls to different business owners who want to come and sell items at their farmer's market. You can see the old pictures on the wall. Maybe one of them is like the barn back in the day or something like that, like before it got really big and they used it purely for farming, but over the years decided to make it more into a business. But yeah, I really love how this stall turned out. I think it really shows kind of the age of what I was going for the barn and the farmer's market. Just seems very inviting and just very like something like familiar and nostalgic about it, in my opinion. I did put the little like gnome and the little cookbook on the display shelf there, but obviously you guys can take those off, and once you grow some produce in the front of the lot, you can put it there on the display shelves and sell it. I think you might also be able to use that other shelf there in the corner. It was letting me like slot things onto it, so I believe you might be able to use that as well to put things on to be able to sell it, but there should be enough slots there in order to sell a few things. But I really love the open stall look, especially you see here I'm putting a light up, and at night I think it even looks really nice just with all the like moonlight coming in and just like the dark ambiance. I think it looks really nice and just inviting, even if it was open at night and your Sims were coming after hours to do some shopping. But now we are moving back to the bathrooms. Like I said, I was kind of all over the place when I was building this build. I was just so excited to do all the different stalls, and I thought it was just a really fun idea. But I did keep the bathrooms pretty simple. I didn't want to do anything too crazy with them. Like I said earlier, I just feel like farmers markets and different types of like outdoor venues don't have like the nicest bathrooms. Like they're fine, but like maybe not the cleanest, maybe not the most well kept. So I did just want to keep that like rustic, like kind of run down vibe even in the bathrooms. I did put two. There wasn't quite enough room to put more than one stall in one bathroom, so I just did two separate bathrooms and just put one on each side so that there's at least two, so that like if there's a lot of Sims on the lot, there's, you know, more than one bathroom for them to have access to. And because this is supposed to be more like a family friendly venue, I did include the little changing table in each one. I thought that was a nice touch, just so that if there are kids, they have that option as well in the bathrooms. But other than that, nothing too fancy. I did exactly the same thing in each bathroom. I just added a little like sanitizer dispenser and a paper towel dispenser. Those are both from Get to Work, and just a sink and a mirror and a stall, and that is pretty much it. And then of course just adding some like different stains so that it looks a bit more run down. And I did keep this like dark brick in each of the stalls and in the bathrooms. I think that just made the most sense. I thought about maybe doing a different like color or a different like paint swatch for each stall, but I think it's more realistic just to have the brick all throughout the build. Since it was at one point a barn and they renovated it into a business, I think that just makes the most sense for them to have the original brick that was on the inside, and they just like made different rooms for it rather than like painting the walls or something like that. But yeah, nothing too crazy for the bathrooms. I just wanted to have something that your Sims would be able to use. Like I said, I learned very quickly from my playthrough that you definitely need public bathrooms. I had Sims wetting themselves all over the place and it was not good, so I wanted to make sure I included a couple here. Next, I moved on to the little florist stall. So I do have like a flower arranging table that I put in here just so that there was an activity that your Sims could do. So obviously they can do the flower arranging, but I wanted to include a bit of like different houseplants and things just so that's more of like a plant flower shop. But I do really like the stall. I think it turned out really cute. I'm a huge plant person in real life, so it's definitely one of my favorites. I always love to include a lot of plants in my builds, so an entire stall dedicated to just flowers and plants was definitely up my alley. I did change the swatches on all of the like shelves and workbenches quite a bit. I couldn't decide on a color scheme. It ended up being kind of like a blue color scheme, but it pretty much has the same layout as the farmer's market. It has the little front counters so that they have somewhere that they can check out, but I did want to make enough room so that way your Sim could get to the flower arranging table as well if they wanted to work on that skill, and so that if your Sim was selling flower arrangements they could reach it and be able to do that while they were on site as well. I tried to make sure to include a lot of different shelving as well, so that way your Sims could sell all the items that they make. I will say that the display shelves that came with the new pack, I like this little circular one that I used in this stall and in the farmer's market stall, but I feel like they're just a bit bulky. Like even the shelf one is a bit bulky. Like I kind of wish they had some that like actually like went up against the wall or even like attached or like snapped to the walls, because they are quite bulky and I feel like they take up quite a bit of space. And like even this shelf, I think you can only use the top shelf and the middle one, like the lower circle shelf there. I don't think you can actually put an item on, which is kind of frustrating because that's only 2 items that you can fit on there, which doesn't make any sense. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong and maybe I just had the wrong items, but when I was trying to like put things on there just for like display for the build, it seemed like you could only put 2 items on there and it just didn't seem like the most efficient item. But that is why I included this other like metal shelf in the back, and I believe that's from Get to Work. It just doesn't like fit the aesthetic. So I kind of wish they had some different shelving that we could choose from, and again maybe just one that like snapped to the wall so it was like on the wall shelving. I feel like that even would have been better, but I still think it works. I just wanted to add enough displays so that way your Sims could like sell a bunch of different things. So I do like that they will be able to use the flower arranging table while they're on site, so they could like keep up the inventory while they were there if that's something that they wanted to do. And obviously if you include flower arranging as an activity, the Sims who visit the lot can also use the booth and use it to do some flower arranging themselves. You can't sell what they make. I think you have to be like a schemer in order to do that, but I just thought that would be nice to do, so that way your Sims could keep up the inventory while they were on site running the farm. But I'm just adding a ton of different flowers here. I just used some from like the decor section. I didn't really have any that my Sims arranged or anything like that, so obviously you can take some of these away and replace them with arrangements that your Sims make. I just did that for the time being, just so that you could see what the purpose of the stall would be. And basically just filled the whole thing with as many plants as possible. And you could even make pots and put plants in them, I believe, and sell those as well. So that's pretty cool. You can kind of use the pottery stall and the plant/flower arranging stall at the same time, which is pretty cool. But I love this stall. It's so vibrant with all the different plants, and I just think it turned out really cute. But next is the little coffee bar. I just thought it would be nice to include a coffee bar, so that way if your Sims are shopping around, they can grab a cup of coffee. Now obviously this stall is not very big, so I did try to include a couple of tables, but there's just not enough room for a lot. But I feel like that almost kind of makes sense, because when you're at these types of like lots, even in like real life, you're at these like types of businesses, they don't have a ton of tables when it's like a multi-stall farmer's market. Like usually it's just like a walk up and grab it type of thing. But I did obviously want to include a couple, because I also learned in my playthrough that if you have a coffee bar, your Sims will like not walk around and drink with it. They like have to sit down to drink their coffee. So I thought that was interesting. I had like the hardest time picking tables and chairs for this. For some reason, I just didn't like how any of them matched. None of them felt like they matched, but I finally decided on these brown swatches, which obviously kind of fit the rustic vibe. Not a Starbucks by any means, but I feel like that's kind of part of the point. Like all of these stalls are like people who like hand make things, or you know, like handcraft things. So maybe this is like a small coffee business that is trying to like get up and running, and they have their own like coffee that they grind up their own beans and things like that. So it's like a small business that rents it out and tries to get some traction and kind of start things off by selling their coffee at the farmer's market. And I did include the little pastry display as well, so your Sims can get pastries and coffees, and the idea is that they would walk around with their coffees and do some shopping, but realistically your Sim will sit and drink their coffee and then get up and shop around. But I really love how it turned out. I think it's so cute and just adds kind of a cozy vibe to the farmer's market, just like a cozy stall for you to take a break, kick your feet back for a bit before you get up and do some more things around the farmer's market. I really like these clutter pieces. I finally got the everyday clutter kit and the bathroom clutter kit, which is not featured in this build, but I really love the little mugs and the plates. The plates are from Home Chef Hustle though, but I really like those items. I wanted them for so long because I love clutter, and I really like that I can like put those things on the shelf, and it just kind of makes sense because it's obviously a coffee shop. They're gonna need mugs, you're gonna need plates, so I really like that I was able to add that. And I'm adding these new lights that came with the Businesses and Hobbies pack. I also really like these because they have different like shapes, so you could kind of like put them together to make archways or like line a doorway or a wall or something, which is really cool. I just put them across the windows here, but I think it honestly adds a lot to this little stall, makes it very inviting, very cozy, especially at night when the lights are obviously more visible. I think it's really, really cute. And then I'm just putting a few last minute things in this stall, like the little lights next to the tables and the little poster of, to me it looks like cinnamon buns. I hope that's what they are, because that's what I think they are. And we have one more stall left, but first I am just putting some outdoor lighting before I forget, especially near like the tables in case your Sim wants to get a late night bite. They have lots of light to be able to do that. I tend to forget outdoor lighting, so I wanted to make sure I did that before I forgot. Like I said, I was kind of all over the place with this build. You can see I'm messing with the shelf again in the floral shop. I don't know, that shelf just did not match the vibe, but I just moved it around a bit so it was a little bit more like visible to you if you're like walking past that stall. And now we're on the last stall of the build. This is the pottery one. Now I will say I probably rearranged the layout on the stall so many times. I really wanted your sim to be able to make the pottery on site, kind of like the flower arranging stall, just so that they could keep a lot of inventory like going, so your sim didn't have to like keep leaving the lot if they wanted to like keep the business open and sell more things, just so that they don't run out of items. But again, it's just a really small stall, so I will rearrange it quite a bit just to get everything to fit. At first I had 2 pottery wheels, but then decided that it was just not going to work. It was just too small for that, so we just kept the 1 wheel and the kiln, but I think it did work out. I think it turned out really cute. This stall actually turned out kind of like boho almost, but I do like that it kind of has a different vibe than the other ones. It just again leans into that idea that these are all different vendors who rent out the stalls. They're all very different businesses, and they're just trying to advertise and sell some things at the farmers market, but they're not necessarily cohesive because they are all different businesses by different people. I also added this little partition here just to give it some separation from where the pottery is being made. Obviously, your customer sims can also go back there and make their own pottery if you have make pottery as a activity for your business, but I just did separate it just in case you wanted to leave it just like a place for your sim who owns the business to go back there to make the pottery in order to sell it. It might not be the most appealing thing to have a bunch of like pottery like stuff and muck seen from the outside of your stall. And then I wanted to include a different shelf since I did use the round one quite a bit, so I used the just like regular standing shelf for this stall. So I just put a bunch of different pottery on there. I believe that's from the debug menu technically, or like the show hidden items menu, so I don't know if you'll be able to sell the ones that I put there, but obviously if not, you can just get rid of them and make your own pottery and put them on the shelves to be sold. I just wanted to make sure I included a lot of different pottery items so that you could see the potential of the little shop, and obviously all the sims can see what's for sale. I just think it turned out really cute. Like I said, it's kind of boho, like super girly. I really like it. I think it turned out so cute. I still kind of did the same sort of layout where it has the little counter off to the side there just so that they can make the purchases. Obviously it's not functional because of the different packs and the way the businesses work, but again, just for looks, I like how it turned out. I like having that there just for a sense of realism, even if it's not completely functional. I did playtest this area here just to make sure that your sim could get behind the partition and get to the pottery wheel, and my sim used it just fine. I thought it was so cute watching her back there just working on her pottery in the little stall. I think it turned out super cute. I love how it looks. I really love how the farmer's market looks at night. I still think it's super inviting and just super bright, and just seems like a really fun place to be and to go shopping and to spend a day out, whether you're with family or if your sim is just spending a day out doing some shopping. I think it turned out really cute. I love it so much. So that is pretty much it. I'm just adding a last few minute touches. I realized I didn't put any like stains or wear in the farmer's market stall, so I'm just adding a few things there and rearranging a couple things, but that is pretty much it. There are going to be a few screenshots here for you guys to enjoy. I am obsessed with this build. I think it turned out so cute. I just had this idea of a multi-stall farmer's market, and honestly, it's exactly what I was looking for, what I was thinking of. I love how it turned out. It's so cute. So it's very different than anything I've built before, per usual, just since I am kind of new to building like consistently. So if you guys download the build, please let me know. I would be so stoked to see if you use it for your farmer's market, for your business, and see what your sims get up to, the types of items they sell, if you change the types of stalls, like the different businesses in there. I can't wait to see and hear what you guys think, so comment down below if you like it, what you would change, if you would do a different business. Let me know. I'm so excited to hear what you guys think. We do have a lot of other builds coming up in the Newcrest series. I have so many businesses planned. I've mapped out the entire Newcrest map, and I know what I want to do with each lot. So make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit the like button if you like this build. Let me know the types of builds you like by hitting that button for me. If you want to see anything specific, you can comment down below. I would love to get suggestions. Like, I have an idea, but if you guys have any suggestions, I would obviously love to take those into consideration as well. But that is pretty much it for this build. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the screenshots. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the farmer's market. I had so much fun building this public lot, and definitely stay tuned because we are going to have more public lots and obviously some public and residential lots on the same lot here soon. So make sure you're subscribed, and I will see you guys next time. Hi friend, that was a millennial, if I've ever heard one. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel.